Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and again on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on KATX and KWBY as Angela Robinson joins Stace Gaddy to share important financial information to help you live life on purpose, insurance, investments, estate and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Good morning, my friends. Welcome into Life Planning 101. I'm Stace Gaddy. As always, our guest and expert, Angela Robinson, in studio. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, and happy Independence Day.
Yes.
You know, I will tell you this. I've had this week, last week at Vacation Bible School, and got to talk to some really neat people, and I thought it was really interesting. One of the topics that kept coming up about was, and with the adults, was the country that we live in and how grateful we should be for where we are in this world. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think with everything going on in the world today, which we all know there is a lot going on in the world today, and we all know that there's a lot going on in our own country that sometimes scares the bejeebers out of us. You know, the one thing that we need to remember is that we do live in a blessed country, a country blessed by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and He really has taken this country in His hands, and we are abundant in nature. We're spoiled to the point of being spoiled, you know, that we feel like we're going through hard times, but we don't even know what hard times are when you look at the rest of the world. So, you know, thanks to our founding fathers in this country and all those people who have fought for this country to be what it is today and continue to fight for this country to be what it is today. The ability to have free speech and to be able to say these things on the radio, right? Thank you for this country. I mean, and thank God for this country, and happy Independence Day. I don't want that to go unnoticed. It's not what the show is about today, but it's just too big to not pay attention to.
Perfectly said.
Yes.
All I can add is amen.
Amen, right? So let's kind of go on a similar trip. Now, as you know, we are finishing up our segment, and my goal is, and I'm going to tell you this is my goal because you know me, I can get off on a rampage, especially if Stace asks too many questions.
It's going to be like that.
Yeah, but we do like the questions. But as you know, we've been talking about these 6 lessons learned from the Great Recession, which at a very appropriate time, right? We just had the Brexit occur, and there's a lot of talk about hacking into our financial system and what all that would mean. And so we're sitting here talking about all these things that are going on in the world and in the economy and how to prepare yourself, how to plan for the next recession, how to put your life in place, your money aligned with your life and all of that. And the lessons we've discussed so far have been always have a plan in place for the next market meltdown, right?
Right.
We shouldn't believe everything that we think. Meaning psychology kind of gets the best of us. In other words, our brains can kind of confuse us, and it's really interesting when our fight or flight takes over our logical type of thinking. A retirement plan shouldn't blow bubbles was one of them, and we talked about bubbles can be very dangerous, and making sure that you stay properly allocated and don't get overweighted in any one area and the reasons why. Last week we talked about integrity being everything in this industry. And I think that's huge. And we've got 2 more to discuss. And the first of which is going to be a little bit surprising. It's going to be about the fact that it's not all about the money. Yes, you heard me say that.
What?
It's not all about the money. The second of which is going to go back to what I've promised you this whole time, was to kind of give you an idea, a basis for a plan in place that could work. Because a lot of people questioned, with their investments in particular, does a buy and hold strategy even work anymore? How do I make my portfolio work for me so I can retire, so I can accomplish my goals? And we're going to get to that. Hopefully today. There's my disclosure.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But let's go back to this fact that it's not all about the money, right? Mickey Mantle, he said, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself.
Yeah.
Right? And, we laugh at that, but
it's true.
Really take a minute to think what that means. And I think so many of us fly by the seat of our pants and live in the moment, especially, with these phones and everything that we've got at the touch of our... we never breathe. We don't even sit down and breathe and really think about anything anymore. Our mind is glued to something at all times. all times, whether it's our work, whether it's our social media, whether it's our kids, whether it's making dinner. We don't sit down and really think out our future. And then when it happens, we sit there and think, where did it go? What happened? And there's a great book out there. If you haven't read this book, I highly advise it for anyone. It's by Tommy Newberry, and it's called Success is Not an Accident. And what he did was he went in this book and he actually researched the mediocrity of Americans. And so here we are in this blessed country that we just got through talking about, and we are so spoiled. And here's what we mean by that is that, you have more than 60% of Americans who live in the richest, most abundant civilization in history. And that 60% is going to retire with little or no savings and will be dependent on so-called entitlements for survival. Think about that. 60% of Americans. And granted, this book was written before 2011. So I just wonder if those statistics have maybe changed just a little bit. So, here's the deal. Mediocrity isn't a plan at all. In fact, we know that. We're preached that, right? That we are supposed to live our life for God and live abundantly. Go and get out there and do it, not just sit back, right? So how does that all tie to your money? When we come back, we're going to talk about just that.
Good morning again, and welcome into the second segment of Life Planning 101. Here's Angela Robinson.
Thank you, Stace. And I want to remind everybody, this special report that we're actually going through is online. Make sure you go and grab it. You want to download it because this is good. It is an extensive report, gives you like tidbits, and all these action items I am going to be talking about, guess what? They're in there. So you don't want to miss that. You can go to our website, kennedy-financial.com, and access that. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter so you don't miss any upcoming news. We do market reports every week. This show gets to go on there as well as going on the KTXradio.com and KWBYradio.com. And also, we also send out some special announcements, market updates, things like that are really great. Financial tidbits, insurance tidbits every single week that you don't want to miss. So make sure you take advantage of that. But let's get back to this fact that it's really not all about the money, because how does that work when that's really what this whole topic is about, right? And I think the last lesson that you have to think about, or this last lesson that I'm actually putting before the last one we're going to talk about, is having a life plan. Because you see, the money is really the tool. It's not the plan itself. If you revolve your life around money, how happy is that going to make you? It's not going to make you happy, right? But if you revolve your life around life, that makes it a little better, And if you haven't read any of Stephen Covey's material, he's another great author, and I could go through so many authors through this segment, but because they all kind of talk about something similar. But one of the things he talks about is beginning with the end in mind. We actually make our office team read his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, every 2 years. And the reason why we do that, we read a book every quarter, but we revisit his book. And the reason why we do that is because his stuff is so powerful. And, I want you to think, and we've asked this question on the show before, but really think about it and put a pen and paper. You got a 3-day weekend ahead of you. I'm sure you can turn some time to get off your Facebook, get off your Twitter, get off your whatever, and sit down for yourself and ask yourself, if this were your last day on earth, where would you want to be? Who would you want to be with? What would you want to be doing? Spiritually, mentally, physically? What about your last year? Your last 10 years, your last 20 years. That's what your plan needs to be centered around. The Great Recession stunk, right? And this recovery, the so-called recovery we've been having since then, it even smells. The whole thing is horrible, right? And it gives us this feeling of fear, and it gives us these ideas in our head of what we probably need to do or what we probably don't do, and we act too much off of our emotions. Well, we need to act off of our emotions, but we need to direct our emotions really to what those goals really mean. And then, find out where you're at now. And then get some help. I want you to think about something about this, because a lot of people, I think we all have this little ego inside of us that says, well, I don't need help, or I can't afford help, or whatever it is that tells you that. But I want you to think about Tiger Woods. Does Tiger Woods have a coach?
Absolutely.
Why does he have a coach?
To keep tuned up.
That's right.
So he needs help.
And he can't see himself. That's the reality. He can't see himself.
I'm sorry, I won't take too much time, but you know what? Luciano Pavarotti, one of the greatest, if not the greatest tenors in the world ever. He took regular lessons, folks.
There you are. So if we want to have a great life, we've got to have a coach on our life swing, right? We got to have a coach on our life music. Whatever it is, we've got to have someone tuning us all the time and working on us, because they can see everything where we're stuck inside of ourselves and we can't see everything that's going on. Even a video can't capture all of it. I mean, otherwise Tiger wouldn't have anybody. He'd just watch himself on video, right?
Yes, good point.
Yeah, so you can't find enough information out there to be able to help you. But what you can do is use your strengths, use your core values, use the things that are most important to you in life to complement what you're doing with your money. I have something I want to read to you because I think this is a really big deal. You know, one of the things that we do is we always procrastinate. And Dale Witherton, he had this thing called a Life Builder's Creed. And I love this. And he says, "Today is the most important day of my life. Yesterday, with its successes and victories, struggles and failures, is gone forever. The past is past, done, finished. I cannot relive it. I cannot go back and change it, but I will learn from it and improve my today. Today, this moment, now. It is God's gift to me. It is all that I have. Tomorrow, with all of its joys and sorrows, triumphs and troubles, isn't here yet. Indeed, tomorrow may never come. Therefore, I will not worry about tomorrow. Today is what God has entrusted to me. It is all that I have. I will do my best in it. I will be demonstrated the best of me in it, with my character, my giftedness, my abilities to my family, my friends, clients, associates. I will identify those things that are most important to do today, and those things I will do until they are done. And when this day is done, I will look back with satisfaction at which I have accomplished. Then, and only then, I will plan tomorrow, looking to improve upon today with God's help. Then I shall go to sleep in peace and content." Here we are, so worried about the world, right? We're so worried about our financial markets. We're so worried about our election. We're so worried about our country. We're so worried about ISIS. Are we focused on ourselves at all through all that worry? You know, we have this tagline that we call helping people live life on purpose. And the reason that we do that is, you know, we really want people to take time to think about what's most important to them and then figure out how to make everything else work, because it can work. It will work if you just entrust it to the Lord and you do what's supposed to be in your heart and what's supposed to be sought out for you, right? But we forget to do that sometimes. And I think that's the most important thing. When we come back, you don't want to miss the last segment. We're going to be talking about, the money.
Powerful words, Angela Robinson. Thank you for that. Folks, you're only going to hear it here on Life Planning 101. We'll be back right after this. Welcome in, folks, to the final segment this morning of Life Planning 101. I'm Stace Gaddy, our guest and expert, just dropping knowledge on us, Angela Robinson. Good morning again.
Good morning, and it is our final segment of this 6 lessons learned from the Great Recession. And as I promised, we are going to talk about the investments, the actual what the heck should we do, right?
The money.
The money. And here we were. I want to kind of revisit history. So we go back. And we go back to the 90s, and everybody is used to this thing called buy and hold. And it wasn't about timing the market. It was about the time in the market that matters. As long as we stayed in, we were good. Well, that didn't feel that way starting in 2001. No, and in 2011, it still didn't feel that way, because if you would have stayed in from 2001 to 2011, guess what? And buy and hold and not done anything else, you would have made $0. And a lot of grief in between those time periods, right?
And the aforementioned worry.
That's right. And then, you know, the funny thing is that wasn't the first time that it actually happened. Back in the 60s and 70s, we went through the same thing. You went through a 13-year period where the market was actually flat from point to point. And my question to you during all of that and all of 2001 to 2011 was, if you would have held, that would have happened. But were there times that you could have bought and sold and made money? When things went down, you bought. Things went back up, and you sold. Were there times that happened in those time periods? Absolutely.
I'm guessing yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ups and downs. If you look at the market, it goes up and down all the time. I wish I had a visual for the radio sometimes, because you need to be able to see these charts, right? And you see things go up and down all the time. Well, the funny thing is, though, there's some paradox to all this, is that you think about the buy and hold strategy, and the reason that it actually sounded so good was it was straightforward, disciplined, practical, long-term, and that should be the motto for any investor, right? But the market tracking, it just simply didn't prove all the time. However, you also have this great investor named Warren Buffett. And he says what? He says, buy when there is blood in the streets. In other words, buy people's fear and sell people's greed. So in a lot of sense, that sounds straightforward, disciplined, practical, and long-term, doesn't it? And the truth is that always works. But the question is how? How do you actually buy when things are low and sell when things are high? Because can anyone time the market? No. I mean, if you say you can, they're probably lying to you. I hate to tell you that, but if anybody tells you that, they're lying to you. It's not possible to do that. But here's the deal. I always like to give this scenario. If you got a pen and a piece of paper, this will help you kind of go through this scenario. But let's just imagine this. If you're driving, don't do that, by the way. Let's just imagine this. Let's say that you like black beans, okay? Because I like black beans. And if you don't like black beans, just change the canned food. But let's say you like black beans. And you go to the store, and today those black beans are $1 a can. So you go in there, you pay your $1, you get your 1 can. Tomorrow you go back to the store, you got to buy toilet paper or something. So you go back to the store, and they're on sale. 2 for $1. Well, if you're like me and you know you're going to eat them, they're 2 for $1, I'm going to buy them. So I spend another $1 and I get 2 more cans. You go back the next day, they're on sale even more, 3 for $1. They're trying to get rid of them, I guess. And so you spend another $1, you get 3 more cans. And so by then, you've spent $3 and you have 6 cans. Well, the next day they go back up to $1 a can. So if you were to sell your black beans, you'd have 6 cans to sell at $1 a can, and you only paid $3 for those. That's a profit, right? 6 minus 3 equals 3. That's how the market works if you're buying in all the time. It's called dollar cost averaging. You can't time the market, but because it does bounce around all the time, you're buying at different prices all the time. So inevitably, you're going to create profits for yourself. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So why doesn't everybody do that? Well, first of all, it's very difficult to do it. Okay. It works very well if you're not retired, because you just have your money going in as you save money each month. The more often you save money, the more you buy, and that works. It works for you. But, when you retire, you ask yourself, well, that doesn't work anymore. So how do I do that? And that's where you have to set up your portfolio to continue to do what you've always done to get where you're at right now. A lot of people don't realize that you've been doing that strategy since you started working. Think about it. If you did paycheck by paycheck, you had little bits of pieces pulled out of your paycheck every month to go into the market. And it did that strategy right there. So why would you ever want to stop doing what made you successful? Well, if you have to, that's probably a good reason. Well, you don't have to. You don't have to at all. And I think that's the big thing, is that people don't realize that you have options when it comes to setting up your portfolio. You don't just have to do a traditional buy and hold, a traditional 60-40 portfolio. We had Aaron on here last week and talked about some different types of investments that buffer downside or even mitigate downside entirely, but still have the opportunity to beat inflation. And I think that's really important. There's a great study done. It was a PhD done by Dr. Arlson, and he went back and studied, the different timings in the markets and looked at a stock portfolio. And there's been several times that a stock portfolio or stock and bond portfolio didn't even outperform cash. How's that possible? Well, that's the buy and hold strategy. But, keeping yourself diversified and keeping yourself, well spread out, not just looking at traditional assets, that's where it's really all about, is making sure that's right for you. But, here's the deal. So we talk about that, and I can give you all the ideas in the world. But how do you know that they're right for you? And that's where it's kind of like that Tiger Woods story. You got to have someone there to help you watch your swing, because I promise you this, we're independent. We don't choose to be with an Edward Jones or an A.G. Edwards or a Merrill Lynch or anybody like that. We choose to be independent, and here's why. Every person we work with is different. They're all unique. And what we want to be able to do is take that person's unique situation and go out there and find the best fit for their situation to help them sleep at night still accomplish their goals, and not have to worry about what's going on in the markets today. And that's the most important thing. So, when you're doing that, we're not being told or what to sell clients or what to give to clients, right? We get paid a fee. We're fee-based advisors because we want to be on the same side of the fence so that if our client makes money, we make more money. If our client loses money, we're suffering right along with them, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where, that's where our hearts are. That's where we want to be able to be. And I think the question you need to be asking is yourself is like going back to what we talked about. Are you planning with that end in mind? Do you know where you're at today in regard to your future goals? Do you know who's going to help you when things get emotional? Are you prepared for that next economic meltdown, right? What disciplines do you have in place to keep you buying in the market all the time? What do you know that you don't know that'll hurt you? We all don't know what'll hurt us, right? So getting that second opinion, having that system to avoid selling when the market goes down. A lot of people, this is a problem. They have to take income and they pull income out of a down market. That's painful. Well, have a system, have a process in place. We have 3 years of income setting aside for every client that takes income. We do that so they don't have to pull money out of a down market. And you need to be able to have that. Having a full-time expert if something were to happen to you. That's the big things. And don't procrastinate at the end of the day. Don't procrastinate. It's not worth it. We really have enjoyed doing the show on the 6 lessons learned from this recession.
Yes.
Make sure you email us your questions, lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. With all the stuff going on in the world today, we want to be addressing your questions. We want to be talking about this on the show. I told Aaron, you may have to come on more frequently if this volatility continues through the election. So, make sure you send us your questions. We'd love to answer them. My name is Angela Robinson with Kennedy Financial Services here in Eastland, Texas. God bless, and again, happy Independence Day, and God bless America.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and again on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on KATX and KWBY for more Life Planning 101.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through VSR Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisor and member of FINRA SIPC. Kennedy Financial Services is not owned or controlled by VSR Financial Services Incorporated.